Joining us now is the nationally known but Florida's own Senator Marco Rubio. Welcome to the show, Senator Rubio.
Thank you for having me on.
So now tell us about your mobile hours. You're going to have a presence in Flagler County next week. We're very excited about that. Tell us about that, please.
April 11th, next Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m., we have our staff host the mobile office hours. We do that around the state to meet with constituents, and we help them with federal issues. And we do it right in their own communities. And this is largely geared for constituents who can't visit the regional offices. So these mobile office hours offer a more convenient way to seek out federal casework assistance. So I won't personally attend these. Of course, sometimes there's confusion about that. My staff handles that, and because we're all over the state at that time. But what's important is that if you have an issue, and listen, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whether you voted for me or not, if you have an issue regarding the federal government, a veterans benefit issue, Social Security, Medicare, we're there to help you. And that's why we do mobile hours. Not everyone can get to our regional offices, so we're coming to you.
Now, that's wonderful. So if people have questions or problems or issues, they can
Correct.
They can come and speak to your representative there.
Absolutely. And that's why we do it. We're going to go out straight, especially in some of the smaller counties that are a little bit away from a metropolitan area where our offices are located. It allows us to come to you, and we do that through our mobile hours. So we'll be available Wednesday from 1 to 3.
And now, Senator Rubio, could you tell our audience that even though you won't be there, you will be getting that information, correct?
Yeah, and the reason I say, I just want people to, sometimes people show up and say, well, we came here to talk to the senator himself.
Right.
I try to attend as many of them as I can. Sometimes we're traveling or we're in Washington during the week, and so we're not able to go to the mobile hours. But what happens is our staff every week prepares a report that I read every Friday morning. I read, or sometimes Monday mornings, I'll read a constituent services report that lets us know how many cases are coming in, how many cases are going out, what's the bulk of these cases. And then if it's a particularly difficult case, if it's one that necessarily staff can't handle, obviously it comes up to me. For example, if I have to call the head of an agency, or if I have to personally contact somebody to help the constituent out. Most of the time we're able to take care of it before it rises to that level. But every now and then we'll have to place a call to the head of some organization or some federal agency in order to get things moving for our constituents.
Oh, that's great. Now, have you noticed any trends? Is there a particular type of problem you're seeing a lot of?
Yeah, unfortunately, the first, of course, is one of the emerging trends is our veterans, especially our young veterans that are returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of them are wounded. Some of them are having trouble finding jobs. Many are, unfortunately, find themselves in like foreclosure and other other economic hardships. So we're getting a lot of those cases, sadly. We always have issues with our seniors, of course, in terms of Social Security and their benefits, particularly if one of the spouses dies. Medicare, with all these rumors of changes to Medicare, people get scared, and they're always calling to find out a little bit about what's going on or how their benefits are working in that regard. TRICARE is an emerging issue, which is the health insurance for the military, especially in areas that are close to military and military establishments. We see a lot of those cases come in. We still get a lot of immigration work all over the state, primarily from people that have done it the right way, folks that are standing in line and waiting to get into the U.S. or are trying to renew their visas but find themselves interacting with a very complicated and bureaucratic legal immigration system. So we get a lot of work in that regard as well. So we're happy to deal with all these issues. We have a pretty good staff that deals with these things, very good staff, I should say, excellent in terms of getting results. And we also work very well with our Senate colleague Bill Nelson's office. And together sometimes we will team up to work on some of these issues if we think the two of us together will make it move quicker.
Oh, well, that's great to hear that you guys, work together in collaborative effort for the benefit of Floridians.
Yeah, we both work for the people of Florida. We're in a different political party. We vote differently now and then, but as far as helping the people of Florida, we're one team, and so it works well that way.
And I'm very glad to hear that you're concerned about the veterans. I'd like to tell you about in Flagler here, we have a couple of programs that we just had an event called Hire a Hero.
Yes.
To match employers with returning veterans, and we're also gearing up for a big walk for the Wounded Warrior Project. So I'm really happy to hear you say that that's on your radar, our returning veterans, and that you're there to help them, and you're willing to roll up your sleeves.
We have a strong moral obligation to the young men and women. And let me just say this: anyone who is doubtful about America's future, anyone who worries that America's future will not be as bright as its past, all you need to look at is the young men and women who I have met in my interaction with the armed forces, whether it was my visits to Pakistan and to Afghanistan and Kuwait, or anywhere else around the world that I have met, or even at airports. This is the next greatest generation. I mean, this is an extraordinary generation of young Americans, many of whom have gone on 2 or 3 tours over the last 10 years that have sacrificed beyond just their health and their safety, and some have paid the ultimate price, but beyond that, have sacrificed financially. And so I just think anyone who has any sort of concern about the future, all you need to look at is these young men and women to make you optimistic about what the best and brightest of America look like.
Yes, well, we appreciate that, Senator Rubio. And what's next on the agenda for you? I heard you saying no to VP, but I'm kind of curious about that.
I'm focused on Florida. I'm focused on hopefully helping to get the economy growing again. Growing fast enough is really the key, and there are a lot of things standing in the way of that. Number one is first and foremost is that our budget is not in order, and until the federal government starts to take serious its budget problems, it's going to be very difficult for our economy to grow as fast as it needs to in order for us to create jobs. The second concern, of course, is a broken tax code. We have complicated tax codes. Our tax code is full of loopholes that were put in there by lobbyists and special interests. We've got to get those things out so that we can simplify the tax code and lower it and flatten it. And the third thing is regulations that are getting in the way of a lot of things, not the least of which is American energy. One of the things standing in the way of us, we're the most energy-rich country in the world. We have more natural resources at our disposal for energy than any other country on the planet. We should be an exporter. We should be selling our oil and our natural gas abroad in addition to taking care of our own domestic needs. And we should be creating American jobs and American industries to do that. But sadly, we have regulations in place that are preventing that from happening. We have huge acreage of federal land that's completely off limits, and but holds enormous supplies of natural gas and oil that, in addition to providing our own energy needs, will allow us to sell it to the world and make money off of that for our people. So we've got to stop doing those sorts of things, and so that's really at the center of our agenda.
Well, we appreciate your bringing your mobile office to Flagler County. I know that people will be out in record numbers to come meet your staff and get their questions answered. Now, will you be coming back? Is this a frequent thing, or will you be back again?
Yeah, we're going to try to do those at least twice a year in each of the communities. Sometimes it's hard. We have 67 counties in Florida. Obviously, for the main counties, the bigger counties that have offices in them, sometimes we don't need to do that there. But for folks that don't have an office in their county, we're trying to get to them. So we try to do it at least twice a year. But and of course, we're always available online and by phone and things of that nature. So that's what we're aiming towards.
Terrific. And that's April 11th, 1 to 3 at the Emergency Operations Center right here in Flagler County. Senator Marco Rubio's mobile office hours.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Rubio, for coming on and giving us a little taste, flavor of your concerns and the trends that you're seeing and your willingness and ability and presence to help.
Well, thank you. And let me just close by thanking the people of Flagler County for the honor and the privilege of serving them in Washington, D.C. Whether you voted for me or not, I say that because I do represent you, and I'm proud to do it. I'm very proud of my state of Florida, and thank you for the opportunity you've given me and the blessing you've given me of serving you in Washington.